that today's session is going to be very interactive. So please be prepared to interact. And before we start, um, I don't see a lot of boys, especially here. If you're in the cafeteria, please come upstairs. You're supposed to be here for 30 minutes at least. I don't want to see anybody in the cafeteria come upstairs. I'll go home. Come upstairs or go home. All right. We're going to start with Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Inshallah, we'll start with a quick presentation from one of our students, Sister Halima. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عبس وتولى أن جاءه الأعمى وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى أما من استغنى فأنت له تصدى وما عليك ألا يزكى وأما من جاءك يسعى وهو يخشى فأنت عنه تلهى كلا إنها تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة بأيدي سفرة كراما بررة قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره ثم إذا شاء أنشره كلا لما يقدر ما أمره فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I see a good size crowd here today.
Um, a couple of weeks ago, we had the first part of the speech tonight, and today we continue the second part with Omar from different group. I think Dr. Dedu will just pick up on where he left last time. So.
Very well. Somebody want to talk out. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for coming here again tonight. I brought with me my partner in the business. His name is Ben. I'm loading up some information now. The goal of today is to have us thinking and doing. Thinking and doing. Last time I was here, I spoke a little bit about the more you think about a thing, the easier it is to process the decision that you need to make. The easier it is to do the thing. So today we're going to be doing that. We're going to think about it, talk a little bit about it, and then we're going to do. So, inshallah, you'll be getting up and you'll be moving around a little bit today. It'll be less boring, less listening to me, watching me just stand here for an hour. Everyone here should already have in their mind a good idea of this entire facility. Am I right? So in your mind's eye, you know where all of the rooms are, you know where the restrooms are, school, and you can react quickly if you need to move to get to one. Am I correct in thinking that? So, here. I didn't have a minute to get this moving before. Okay. So, I'm not sure if you've heard just yet. The first thing we're going to start off with today is talking about firearms. Last time I was here quite some time ago, I asked the question, and I'm sure it's different now. How many people here have fired a gun of any kind before in their life? Okay. How many of you maybe haven't fired the gun themselves, but have heard one in real life? Okay, good. Today, we're going to fire a weapon inside the home. The rounds are safe, blank rounds. We're making sure that it's pointed in the same direction. I want to make sure you understand that we're both professionals. The weapon is going to be safe, and it's just to make you be able to recognize the sound and understand when you should be responding. I can tell you that of the many, many times when there have been active killer events, active threat events in schools, office buildings, one of the number one things that witnesses say is that when they heard the noise, they did not recognize it. I mentioned this last time. They didn't recognize it, or they did not believe it was what their intuition was telling them that it was. Understand? We talked last time about how you can talk yourself out of things because you don't want them to be true or you don't think it's possible. So we're going to go ahead. As I said, This is for training purposes only. There's no bullets here with us at all today. So we don't have any irresponsible action that would cause a problem.
I'll let you do that part. So sometimes people will hear the noise and they think it's either fireworks or something fell, and they explain it away. So it's important to understand what the actual sound is and how quickly subsequent shots could be. So Umar, you're going to point the firearm in a safe direction. I like to describe it as someone popping a balloon, and it scares you at first, and then you can understand it. But so is everyone ready? It's not going to be too loud where it's going to hurt your ears. It'll just sound like almost like a firecracker. Okay, Umar? It's pretty loud, right? Like a firecracker.
No, not that. So that was shocking. Now I need you to imagine for a second hearing that repeatedly, not just a single round. That noise. I can tell you from being right there with it, my ears are ringing a little bit. Okay? If you're in a much more enclosed space, that sound is much more magnified. It echoes off of everything. And it can be even painful. The noise itself can be disorienting. If you're in a hallway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, or one of us is going to go move a little bit further away so that you can begin to recognize the sound at slightly further distances. Is it there? Yes, there. I'll give you the cue. And again, these are blank rounds. Okay. So here comes the next one, and I want you to listen to how that's slightly different in a little bit further away. Go. Okay, stay there, Ben. So while we're at it, we're going to go ahead, and Ben is going to move down into the main entry, and you're going to hear it from that distance. For a lot of people, this is new, so it's very exciting. For some of us, it's not very new, and not very exciting at all. 3, 2, 1. Safety, safety, safety. Under normal circumstances, when firing these firearms, we have a lot of our ear protection as well. We're not going to shoot against this. We're going to make it safe. Okay. So again, I need you to try and understand if you were in a hallway, or in a classroom down a hallway, that sound would be significantly magnified. Yes. The brass, thank you very much. You want to get it for us? Say. Thank you. And then you'll be, so a couple things you can listen for. That type of sound repeatedly echoing off the walls. The sound that it makes coming through doors and around corners. And if it's very close, not just the sound that it makes very loud, but you'll be hearing, if we were out on the ceramic or the marble floor, tile, you could hear the brass in the floor. And these are all indicators of proximity. Right? Yes. That's one of the ways it sounds very similar. If it were a pistol, it would be slightly less of be more of a pop, like when Ben talked about a balloon, but also very loud. So every time you watch a movie and people are inside these buildings shooting right next to each other's faces, that's how you know it's fake. They would all be deaf. So, real quick, part of the reason we want to try to understand this is that sounds tell us things, right? It's not just the sound of gunfire, it's the sound that people make as well. We have to make sure that we're listening to the little voice inside of us that warns us about things. I think last time I spoke a little bit, I talked about being at a hotel. If anyone remembers, oftentimes when you stay someplace at a hotel, sometimes you will hear the fire alarm go off in a building. And no one tends to believe that it's actually a fire. Whether you're at school or at work or at a hotel, fire alarm goes off, what do you see? The doors open up and people peek their head out, and then they go right back about their business as if everything is fine. And 99 out of 100 times, that's true, right? So we're conditioned, right? That conditioning is constantly supported. But it's important that we at least allow for the possibility that this one time, it's not a fake. It's not a false alarm. So taking the extra steps to try and ensure that you are in fact safe is very important. Listen to yourself. Listen to their voice. Make some decisions and ensure that you're safe. That's almost all of my talking. Okay. We're going to be getting up in a minute. Last time I was here, we spoke about the various responses to an active threat. Those responses are the run, hide, flight methodology, right? Evacuate, barricade, or to counter whatever attack that might be. Tonight, you will not be countering any attacks because I don't want to get beat up. But we're going to work on evacuating and a little bit on what it takes to actually barricade a space. Okay? So this is great. It's not going to take very long, and you won't be here for much longer. Like I said earlier, everyone has in their mind the layout of this building. Some of you have responsibilities to other people, right? You're here with your loved ones, your children, family members. There are community members who aren't able to move very quickly. They might even be in a wheelchair. So you have other concerns besides just being able to get yourself up and people who are ambulatory, people who can move themselves. What we're going to do is we're going to split into two groups, and we're going to work on what it would take to walk through the process of evacuating. Okay? This is important because we're going to do it based on the threat scenario being in different locations. Understand? Because where you are relative to the threat affects your choices with regards to evacuating or barricading, and by what route you take to evacuate. Understand? And this building has a lot of exits. Right? So here's what I'd like to do. Because it wouldn't make sense to have all of you doing the same thing at the same time. What I'd like to do is have, well, let's put this exactly in the middle. I need to switch to the headset. Let's have two groups. I'll let you decide how to do it, please. All right? I'd like a group on this side and a group on this side. One group is going to do evacuating, the other group is going to do barricading, and then we're going to switch. Everyone understand? Brothers and sisters, thank you very much. I hope that we all participate. Let's go ahead and split up, please.
Put this away.
Yeah.
It's real good. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys actually shot it here?
Because he likes to store food in there too.
Don't you think it might be a little bit heavy to carry?
I think it's heavy. Barricading is putting stuff in front of a door to keep people out.
What gun is that?
Huh?
What type of gun is that?
That is an AR-15.
I knew it. I knew it was an M1 I just knew it was an AR. I didn't know it was
All right, you guys come on this side.
Okay. What is this side for?
We're going to do both. It doesn't matter what side you go on. You're going to want to switch it. Like I said, so this is first, we're going to be doing everything next week. Right? So, when we're doing this on training, we do like a crawl phase and a walk phase. Right? We won't do a run phase because that's not what we're doing. But we'll walk through because it's a mental exercise that facilitates. Right? What we're doing is we're putting ourselves in the mindset all the way down. If the handle goes, the most obvious scenario, since we're in this space, is that we're all here doing the hood work. Or, yeah, this is one of our prayers, one of the salat, right? And you hear the gunfire. We all have different concerns. Because, like I said, some of you are here with family members, some are not. One of the main lessons in that shooter that I don't think always applies is that when you evacuate, you don't spend time trying to. Okay? And I don't entirely agree with that. Unless, if you were here during the last time, I talked about that color code, right? White, yellow, orange, red, and black. One of the few times it's okay to leave people behind is if they're in that black mind state. What that means is that they can shut down. Right? Sometimes you watch a movie and if someone's in a corner in a fetal position, or they're standing there and the horrible event happens, they just freeze, they lock up. And you're watching the movie, you're like, okay, go, do something. Okay. That happens to realize something. Right? That's called that black condition. There's no more cognitive function. If you can take that person and try to move it with you, but they may not come. And if that's the case, then you're in a position where you need to make sure you do that. Okay? Take whoever you can and move. All right. So here we are. We're in the obvious space. Right? Here's gunfire in the main entryway. Right? Down there in the entryway. Where are we going to go? That way? Where's that? Why are we choosing that one? Furthest away from the noise that the bang bang? That's a very important point. Some people, that's in your heart. Right? Now, number one, hopefully you are prepared to do that. Maybe you, or maybe not, you aren't. Part of one of the other trainings that I want to provide is how to do that last part. How to an attack. Because if you're not armed and there's someone with a gun, you need to have a plan for that. In California, in the fall, there was a shooting at a church. That shooter was stopped by a doctor who ran towards him, and tackled him and knocked him down, and then other people followed and were able to suppress him. Okay? No firearms involved. Wasn't a good guy with a gun. That being said, you must understand that doctor also perished. So he saved a lot of lives that day. Right? So only you know in your heart what you're going to do. You don't know. None of you know. I didn't know the first time I was being threatened. And I saw other men who were just as trained as I was. Some did what they were trained to do. Some did nothing at all. So, we're going to go ahead and walk right through this, right? I'm going to say bang, bang, bang. And I want you to think about what you do here. And we're going to have, you're all going to go through that door. We're not going to go outside. We go all the way down to where the actual outer exit is. We're probably going to have a little conversation. Right? Ready? Bang, bang, bang!
Brother, should I keep filming? Brother Omar, should I keep filming?
Only if you want to. It's a lot to. You have to edit it.
The most interesting video.
Oh yeah, he's coming up the stairs, guys.
How do you feel, guys?
Excuse me, Mr. Shooter, I forgot my shoes and my socks. Can I go home?
How do you guys feel running away from the shooter?
Yeah, you got the trash.
What are all the emotions you're feeling right now, brother Hasib?
Oh, I'm so scared, brother.
This is live, actually. This is actually live, so.
What problem did we just run into? Too many people. Traffic. Narrow exit. And bottleneck. Okay. Last time I was here, I spoke about the club in Rhode Island 15, 20 years ago, right? Yes. We talked about evacuation and understanding your exits. Right? Psychologically, we tend to default to the exit or the entrance that we came in to. Okay? Right? That's not the case here, but that's what tends to happen in an emergency. If you come into a space, in your mind, that's also the way out. In the nightclub in Rhode Island, a large number of the deceased peoples were found at the main entrance trying to get out because of the bottleneck. And that's where they perished. Okay? In this case, because someone mentioned it, right, and it's in our minds as the most immediate or the furthest exit from the threat, that's where everyone went. And let's talk about this realistically. Okay? If this were an actual event, many of your bodies would be found there. Okay? But this is good. This is what this training is for, because it presents us with an opportunity to talk through problems. So now we have to discuss, how do we rectify the tendency for everyone to move towards one exit? It could be coordinated, so we can plan ahead, right? Part of our emergency plan can be to determine which areas of the prayer area or any other area move towards a specific exit. And there are easy ways to create a solution for that. A line right down the center, color coded. If you're on the side of the prayer floor with this colored sign, you move to that color door. And that's not hard. That's an easy association mentally. Right? So that's one part of the problem that's solved. Understand? Say again? Not necessarily, because it's an easy enough association where if it's mentioned enough in the community, for the most part, people understand if I'm on the far side, I'm going out this exit. And you can grab people and pull them with you. This one, while everyone goes. And it's, it's never going to be 100%. There's no opinion. Then they can go. We said upstairs about people who sometimes you have to leave people. Okay? Right? But again, part of being a part of this community and talking about it is that we develop a plan and then everyone starts talking about the plan. People will forget under duress, you'll forget, you'll go blank, right? As long as some people know and it's clearly marked in some way, that's a 70% solution at least. Okay? This is a very, very good example. Let's go ahead, go back upstairs and talk about the alternatives.
In this case, I don't think we should get out until the officer comes. Outside, we don't know what is the situation.
Get out. Get out. Don't wait. Go. Let's talk about it. Let's go upstairs.
Okay.
Oh, he's here. He's here. He made it in. Look at Chef. He's still in shock. Oh, shoot. I guess it was good news. Oh. Hmm?
space, this is like the universal principles, right? When you're going into a space thinking about the alternative exits. You're at a restaurant, what does every kitchen have? Yes, yes. We know who wants to protect people. Okay? Every kitchen has the entrance and exit where they load things from, right? All the food comes in and out. No one ever goes back there because we're all programmed in our minds that that's off limits. Even in a threat scenario, it's like, anyone ever seen an elephant tied with a little string? It won't move, it won't escape.
Oh yeah.
Little rope. It can rip an entire building down, but if there's a string on it, it won't leave. That's how we're all programmed, right? So you need to be able to understand that you can break the rules when there's a threat. There's no rules. Understand the other exits and utilize them, even if it means breaking windows. Because people are going to pile up, you find your own way out. Okay? So the solution to this right now here is not fixed. It's something that we're thinking about, and inshallah in the near future, I'll be able to help coordinate in developing an actual plan that provides somewhat of a solution to what we just ran into. Okay? You're all experienced now. Now it's part of your duty is to help spread this information. Okay? Let's go ahead and take this down to the main entrance in the foyer area, and let's think through that problem. Everyone understand? Everyone agree? Yeah, we're just going down to the main. We're not going outside. So, oh, there's another question. I got asked another question from one of your brothers. Not yet. We're going to. I was asked by one of the brothers if a good option would be to go to the elevator.
No. Yeah. No. Yes, you can go to you. No, you just stay there. It can get clogged. It can jam. Yeah, and plus, if the stairs are better.
Yes. Right? Why is the elevator maybe not the best choice? He gave us all the answers already, by the way. You have to wait for it. It's timed. You have no control over how long it takes. And once you're in there, those doors don't just slam shut. Okay? You're in a box. You have no place to go. What about it opens on the bottom, and that's where that person is hanging out? Okay? You want to try to be able to move in a way that's quick and that still provides us with some opportunity to vary our plan. Okay? Anytime we take an action that narrows our ability to make choices, that needs to be the last option for us. We need to be able to vary that plan as the situation develops. Okay? All right, mental exercises. Everyone downstairs, please. So there's be careful in that situation. Protecting your life, the life of others. gonna do is we'll do one more here. Because I think the lesson is learned, right? I've been here many times, I know you've been here many times, where this space is absolutely jammed with people.
Yeah.
Right? There's food, people are talking, children are running. With perfect access, really, this is what we would refer to as a fishbowl. Okay? So if we're here and we need to leave, right? What are your options?
Outside that window. Outside that beach.
That's where the threat is. Everyone says downstairs.
People up from go down. Some people have to. But if you are on the stairs,
Luckily, the guy's probably not a sniper. So listen, like I said, there's not going to be one right answer. There's not even two right answers. What's important is for you to have an idea in your mind of what the right answer is for you and your family, the people you're responsible for. So maybe you try to break the window and go out because there's too many people in the main space, right? Maybe you try to go up, some people try to go down. I don't know, I can't tell you. What I'm saying is that when you're here from now on, you're thinking, when I'm in this space, that's what I'm doing. When I'm upstairs, this is what I'm doing. Yes. What hurts more?
be sure that.
That's an easy stitch. Correct? Yes, bro.
So, people go all down there, but if you look at the space in the back, it's a possibility of guarding this. But the problem is someone will walk this circle.
If you have time to barricade. I'm not sure if it's a door or not. All right, brothers. Yes. That's an excellent question. Okay? When you're here, when you're anywhere with people that you're responsible for, and it goes back to the same thing, always have a plan. People say I'm paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I just have really good plans everywhere I go, right? So when I'm out with my family, my wife, who doesn't pay attention to much, my children though, no, she really doesn't. She knows. I'll tell her. I try to tell her things about safety, and she's like, I don't care. I have you. But when I've been out with my children, we all know, I tell them, okay, we're going into the park. If something happens, get out and you will meet me here. I'm going to look for you here. Understand? Unless we can't meet. Right? So you have to have some plans for that. Yes, brother.
If we are too many and we all get our back, we make it easier for the shooter, right? If we all give our back and run the other direction, and we have too many, we will take time anyway to get out.
The reality is, it's going to be easy no matter what.
Oh, really? Yeah, because if
the only time it's not going to be easy is if some people attack the attack. And that's an entirely different discussion, an entirely different day of training. But yes, absolutely. The more occupied you can make that person, the less likely it is that he's going to be trying to kill other people. Like I said upstairs, okay? All right, we're gonna go back to upstairs, and we're gonna switch places and talk about barricading and trying to find a shelter for when you can't evacuate. Let's all go back upstairs. All right, let's go up.
All right, guys, come.
Yeah, this is not. So what happens if you're on the second story and you have your children and you can't escape? What do you do?
The guy.
So we always have to think about our behavioral clusters and our habitual areas, right? So this is a habitual area for us. Our home is a habitual area. We probably go to the same gas station. We probably go to the same grocery store. Probably go to the same coffee shop, etc. Right? You have 5 or 6 places that you go to regularly, right? We should know and understand those habitual areas the best we can. And that way, if we're in them and something happens, we can make easy decisions, right? So if we're in a Walmart or a Target, we can maybe divide that into different quarters, right? So if we're inside the Target and we hear what we think could be gunshots, then we can make a decision in this area of the department store. This is the sporting goods. I have access to a baseball bat. I can defend myself. If I'm in this area, I can get pots and pans and maybe kitchen knives, right, and defend myself. You can take bee and wasp spray. If you ever use that, it shoots really far, right? And it's very accurate, right? Because you want to spray the hornet's nest, right? So you can get different things in habitual areas, right, to defend yourself. But if maybe you can't defend yourself, you might have to barricade, right? So what are some of the things that we think about when we're barricading, right? So maybe we'll look at this door over here, B. For those of you who can see it, maybe you've been in this building long enough where you can tell. What are some of the things that we think about with that door? It's an exit door. Where's the hinge? Right. So when we go in these habitual areas, we have to pay attention to the hinges, right? Which way does the door open or close? Where's the handle? What type of handle is it? Like those handles that are curved, maybe I can put something around it, a chain or something, or even just kind of hold it closed, right? That door is very challenging because it's got a push bar, goes out. What else is challenging with that?
Is like mirror or a glass.
It's got a window, right? So the active shooter wants to be successful, right? This is probably the last thing they're going to do on this earth, right? They want to be successful, right? We have to give them a fear of failure. We have to make them think that no one's in this room by being quiet, by hiding, and by covering that window and barricading that door, right? So it'll make them want to go to a different location, right? It'll buy us time. Barricading that door is very difficult because it opens out, right? So the only things that we can really do is if we put a bunch of chairs there, it might slow the person down. If we put maybe the bookshelves there, right, it'll delay, right? But it's very challenging. So there's things to consider, to think about in your different areas, right? I taught a school active shooter mitigation, and the teacher on the second floor, her solution was she went and got wooden wedges and a hammer, and she would take those. Her plan was to take those wedges and hammer them underneath the door. She had an inward swinging door. Hammer them under the door, and then she would defend herself and the students with the hammer. Right. So $5. At least she had some kind of plan. Right. But covering the door, and then where's the last place someone would think to look for an individual? So if an active shooter was walking by that door, where was the last place that that individual would look in this room? Sorry? Exactly. So it's not natural for you to walk into a room and look like this, right? It's not natural to like look down on this area once you enter a room. It's natural to look everywhere else, right? So this is the last place that someone would naturally look. So it's counterintuitive to think like, hey, I'm going to go hide by the door where the person might come in, right? That's the last place they'll look, right?
and it affords you the opportunity, the element of surprise, right? So maybe you have two people on each side of the door, and you say, you get a leg, you get a leg, you get an arm, you get an arm, right? Also, let's think about leverage. When you go home, this is a cool experiment to do. If you take a broomstick or anything that, maybe this the stand, and you hold it as tight as you can, and you have someone hold the very end of it, that person can control the leverage of that broomstick because they're on the other end, and it's a machine, right? It's a simple lever, right? So as strong as I am, I can try and with all my might to control that the end of the broomstick. But once the other individual has control of that, which could be a rifle, right? You'll have that leverage. You want to stay away from the end of the rifle, right? But you want to control that rifle and firearm as best you can. And it's helpful to be able to react quickly to that. If that individual comes into the room and they now have free access with a firearm, then it becomes very difficult because you're kind of running around, and it's almost like a horrible video game because you're trying to hide away from them and you don't know where to go. It's terrible. So it's best to just encounter as quickly as possible the element of surprise from the likely entrance, right? And you can identify that likely entrance by the sound of gunfire, right? Like you heard earlier. What are your questions?
In terms of like, let's say if you have material to block the bullets, what's the best material? Because these bullets would go through anything.
Yeah.
If you have an option, what would you choose?
That's a great question. So things that a bullet can't pass through, right? An engine block, the axles of your car, right? These pillars, there's no way a bullet's going to go through those pillars. But if I had to, I would rather hide behind this than maybe sheetrock, right? But that one's a lot better. It's a very good question. File cabinets are wonderful in that if they're full, right? If they're empty, it doesn't really help. But if they're full, file cabinet is there's enough material to be able to stop that bullet. Even if you just slow the bullet down, that's huge, right? That's a good question. So that's a good question. He was asking about what if you don't have enough time, right? Time is our greatest resource, and anything we can do, even seconds, are helpful. So there's something called the OODA loop, OODA. It's observe, orientate, decide, and act, right? So we do this 1,000 times an hour. We walk into a new room, we have to observe the room, we orientate ourselves. I'm going to go talk to you, right? I make a decision to walk towards him, and I act, right? Hey, how are you? Assalamu alaikum, right? OODA. That happens thousands and thousands of times, right? Even just now, I want to make sure I don't step on anybody, right? So I'm observing, I'm orientating, I'm deciding, I'm acting, right? If you interrupt that process for the bad individual, it's helpful. There was a active shooter incident in a school, and the active shooter came in the classroom, and the only thing the teacher had was a basketball on his desk. He took the basketball and he threw it at the active shooter, and he went like this, and he ended up dropping the gun and then went and tackled him. And he saved all the kids' lives with a basketball. You can look it up. That you would never think, all right, well, I'm going to fight this guy. He has a gun. I have got a basketball. I'm going to win, right? Like, but because it was flying towards his face, he reacted to it and then ended up dropping the firearm, right? So we have an OODA loop that's happening all the time. We're observing and orientating ourselves all the time, but so are they, right? Question.
So one thing to consider also is that in any active shooter situation, the shooter himself or herself also is pretty scared.
Yeah.
So I think you can use that psychology also to your advantage in certain ways.
Yeah. So he mentioned that the active shooter is actually scared too, right? And you can use that to your advantage. Anything that you can do to gain leverage on the situation is wonderful, right? And making yourself, if you have to end up fighting that individual, making yourself loud and big, right? Just almost like you're fighting a bear, right? And anything that you can do to gain leverage on the situation is helpful. The key is to identify the situation first, right? So when you go into these habitual areas, you should always be aware of your surroundings, right? You can still be relaxed, but we should be aware of our surroundings. Oftentimes we walk around and we're like this, right? On our cell phones, right? We walk around like this. We don't have any idea what's happening around us. We don't have to be stressed out, but we should have situational awareness. So if we see something that is an anomaly in the behavioral cluster, right? So a great idea, a great example of a behavioral cluster would be going to the movie theater, right? Everyone's facing the same way, right? A beach, everyone's facing the same way. Everyone's pretty much wearing the same thing, right? If you see someone at the beach that looks like me, right, that's an anomaly in a behavioral cluster. You all have these habitual areas that you go to, like here, that you would be able to see that anomaly. You know, today I'm the anomaly, right? This is my first time here, right? So anytime you see the anomaly in a behavioral cluster, you should identify that and then make a decision. Is that someone that's going to try and steal something from the store? Are they maybe hiding a firearm? Maybe I want to go to the other side of the grocery store. Maybe I want to leave for a half an hour. Maybe I want to call the police. When you are at home, keep in mind that you can text 911, right? So if you believe someone's in your house, you don't have to call the police and say, hey, I think someone's in my house, and then they can hear you, right? You can text 911 and they'll respond. You can also tell them that you want to order a pizza. So you call the police and say, hey, I want to order a pizza. The dispatcher knows and understands that someone's in your house. They'll ask you, is someone in your house? If someone's in your house, say you want to order a large pizza. Say, I want to order a large pizza. Do you think that there's more than one person in your house? Say you want to order a pepperoni pizza. No pepperonis. I hate pepperonis. I just want a cheese pizza. All right. So I understand there's only one. You believe that there's only one person in the house, etc. Right? The first thing that you do when you call the police is you should tell them your address. If you're going to talk to them, tell them your address. Because that way, if the phone is disconnected, at least they have the address, right? Minimum, you can always call and just leave the phone, right? And they can listen, right? So you don't have to say anything. Just call 911 and just let it sit, right? And then you can deal with your situation. But have a plan. Everywhere you go, have a plan. My friend has 2 children. His plan with his wife is if somebody comes in the house in the middle of the night, he's going to lock the door and defend the family. His wife takes the kids. She goes in the bathroom. She locks the door and calls the police. They already have the plan decided. They don't have to talk about it, right? So have that plan in place everywhere you go to, all these habitual areas that you go to. What about if it's a place that you've never been to before? That's not a habitual area, right? You've never been there.
You observe it first.
I would go about 15 minutes early, right? When you go to a new restaurant that you've never been to before, they don't bring food in through the front door and they don't take trash out the front door. There's an emergency exit somewhere. There's a back door somewhere, right? So find out where that is. When you first walk in, see what the fire evacuation plan is. It shows you the layout of the building, right? Take 15 extra minutes just to understand where you are and where your family should go if there's a situation, right? Everybody else, when they're trying to orientate themselves, you're already making a decision. You're already acting, right? What other questions? Right? So he was asking about the lights. So if the situation is you're at your house, who knows the house better, you or the person that's in your house? You do, right? Lights off. You can walk around your house, right? Because in the middle of the night, you want to go get some snacks in the refrigerator, right? You know how to do that in the dark, right? Lights off. Right? They don't know your house. Right? Other questions?
You call the police. You don't talk to them. They'll be able to track the phone.
That's a good question. So they need a little bit of time. He was asking, are they going to be able to track the phone? It's harder with a cell phone, right? They have to triangulate with the cell towers. It takes a little bit, about a minute and a half, right? With a landline phone, it's automatic. They know exactly where the address is, right? It's registered, right? That's a good question. Keep in mind, when they show up, they don't know who the good guy is, who the bad guy is, right?
Right.
So be prepared for that you might have to lay down, right, until they make a decision who the good guy is, who the bad guy is. That's a good question. So the question is, what if you're in an open room with no door, no window, right? These are things that you have to be cognizant of and make a plan or a decision. What's the closest thing that you can use and leverage? I had a woman that was brand new at a job. It was her first day. It was her first job, and she was given a uniform. She didn't have her cell phone, and she went out she worked at a casino. She went out onto the casino floor, and they told her, if anything bad happens, you're empowered to make a decision. She's like, how do I make a decision? I don't own anything. I don't own anything in this room. I don't even own the clothes I'm wearing because it's a uniform, right? So I told her that you have permission to take anything that's at your disposal, including expensive projectors or whatever it is, and defend yourself, defend your family, right? So whatever's closest to you, including a fire extinguisher is wonderful. We can cover that window on the door, right, and prevent anybody from seeing in. We can spray the bad guy with the fire extinguisher, right? And now they're disoriented, they have trouble seeing, right? And we can use it if it's empty, right? We can use it to actually clonk them over the head, right? Or even just throw it at them, right? It's observing, orientating, deciding, and acting, right? They have to interrupt that OODA loop. So that's a great question. There's no room that's completely empty, right? There's stuff in the room probably, right? Like a chair or a picture or something, right? It's very unlikely that you're in a room with nothing in it, right? So just orientate yourself to that room and then make a decision on what you're going to use if you need to use stuff, right? But I don't want you stressed out. I don't want you to go around life being stressed out, right? You can stay relaxed, but always have a plan, right? Everywhere you go, make a plan. Hey, if we're in this grocery store and something bad happens, we're going to leave and we're going to meet over here, right? A good friend of mine down in Virginia, he actually teaches with me. He's former Secret Service. His wife was in the Target. You can Google it and look it up. She was in the Target. She heard gunshots. She was recognized gunshots from the training. And she left through the emergency exit out the back, through the warehouse. Everybody else inside was like, no, it's a pallet that fell, or no, it's fireworks outside. Like, they explained it away, right? It was gunshots. Somebody was shooting the windows in the Target, and they sat down and they wanted the police to show up. So that police would try and fight them, and so crazy. I think we're out of time. Any last questions, or we're good? Last question.
So, like recently, I heard something like in this area where people come and stop your car and on the confront they ask for money. What should we do on that?
Good question. I carry a fake wallet. It's a regular wallet. I have a few American dollars in there, some receipts, fake credit cards. You go to like the cashier at the Walmart or something, and it has a gift card, right? You can just take a couple of those and don't actually, have anything on them, or you can have maybe $10 on them, right? But I have a fake wallet, so if I'm ever mugged, and someone says, "Hey, give me your wallet," so okay, here's my wallet. There you go. I go this way, right? Now they take it. They have $7, right, and maybe some receipts, and they think, "Oh, this guy doesn't have any money," right? And I have my real wallet, and I go the other way, right? So have a plan. Everything. Nothing is worth your life, right? If you give up your wallet, your real wallet, you cancel your credit cards and maybe you're out $60 or something, right? And you can go on with your life, right? Your car is not worth it. The police will find your car. If anything, maybe they'll destroy your car and you get a new car, right? But it's not worth your life, right? Just give them what they want, right? But be aware of your surroundings, even while you're driving, right? Don't go right next to the bumper in front of you, right? Have room where you can get away if you need to, right? Look at your mirrors. You have 5 mirrors. The 2 on the side, the 1 in the middle, and then the mirrors for your face. You can use those, turn them, and see where you need to look, right? Adjust them when you need to see. Last one. So the question is, if the active shooter doesn't see you and you play like a police siren on your phone, I like the way that you're thinking, but how quickly are you going to be able to pull that up, right? Maybe it'd be fast for you. It'd probably take us old timers a long time to find that on our phones. But if anything that you can do to disorientate their thought process. When I was in school for active shooter training, they had we were all suited up and we were all doing the training, and they had a clown walk by the doorway, like a regular clown with the red hair and the nose, and we were like, why is there a clown in here? And they're like, yeah, see, it changed your mind, right? You're wondering why there's a clown, and now it's 5 seconds before you actually made a decision and got back into thinking about the training, right? Just anything that you can do to disrupt that thought process. Good point. All right. Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.